Ever wonder what hiring managers are really looking for when they interview for that, essential role, the office administrator?
Hmm.
We're about to give you an insider's perspective.
Okay.
We've got a stack of resources aimed at HR pros, and today we're diving deep into those interview questions to uncover the skills and traits that make someone, truly shine in this position.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can learn about a job just by analyzing the questions asked during an interview. It's like a window into the day-to-day realities, challenges, and priorities of the role.
Okay, so before we jump into the questions themselves, let's paint a picture for our listener. What exactly does an office administrator do? Our sources describe them as the glue that holds everything together, but what does that look like in practice?
You're right. The glue is a great analogy. An office administrator wears a lot of hats.
Hmm.
They might be supporting multiple departments, managing calendars for a whole team, organizing meetings, handling communication, or even keeping track of supplies. It's really about ensuring that the office runs smoothly so everyone else can focus on their core tasks.
I'm seeing a theme of multitask in an organization already.
Yeah.
Now, our source material gives us a glimpse into the hiring process with a whole list of questions that HR teams use to assess candidates. One that jumped out at me was, which departments did you support at your current or previous job? How did you support them? What's the thinking behind that question?
It's all about understanding the candidate's breadth of experience and their ability to adapt to different needs.
Okay.
Think about it. The marketing department might need help with event planning, while the finance team needs support with data entry.
Right.
A hiring manager wants to see if you can juggle those diverse requests and demonstrate a range of skills.
So it's not just about ticking off a list of tasks. It's about showing you can wear different hats and adapt to different styles. That makes a lot of sense. Another question that caught my attention was, if you report to multiple people, how do you prioritize your projects? It seems like time management is a big deal for this role, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
An office administrator is often the hub for multiple people's requests, deadlines, and priorities.
Mm-hmm.
This question is designed to assess how you handle that pressure.
Right.
Can you effectively manage your time?
Okay.
Do you have systems in place to prioritize tasks and make sure nothing falls through the cracks?
Our source actually provides a sample answer to that question.
Ooh.
It says, I prioritize based on deadlines and the urgency of the task. Regular communication with all managers ensures everyone is updated on progress. What are your thoughts on that response?
It hits the key points, but I'd love to see the candidate go a little deeper.
Okay.
Imagine if they gave a specific example, maybe a time when a last-minute request from a senior manager forced them to reprioritize their whole day.
Right.
That kind of detail shows they've actually lived this experience, not just memorized a textbook answer.
It's like showing versus telling, right?
Yeah.
Give me the real-world evidence that you can handle the chaos.
Exactly.
Okay, here's a question that I found particularly interesting. Recall a time you had to consult your supervisor for advice or support. Why would that be so important for an office administrator?
This question digs into problem solving and a candidate's willingness to seek guidance.
Right.
No one expects an office administrator to have all the answers, but they do need to recognize when a situation requires escalation.
Okay.
This question tells the hiring manager if you're comfortable asking for help and whether you know how to navigate those channels effectively.
So it's about being self-aware enough to know your limits and being proactive about getting support when you need it. That's a great takeaway for any job, really.
It is, yeah.
Okay, what about teamwork? There's got to be a question about that, right?
Hmm.
Because from what we've discussed, it seems like this role involves a lot of collaboration.
You're spot on. One of the questions in our source material asks, recall a time you worked with a team to complete a project under a tight deadline.
Okay.
This is all about understanding how you function in a group setting, especially when things get stressful.
So what are they looking for in a response to this question?
They want to see how you contributed to the team's success.
Mm-hmm.
Did you communicate effectively?
Right.
Were you able to manage your individual tasks while keeping the overall project goals in mind? Did you step up to help others when needed?
Yeah.
A strong answer will paint a picture of you as a valuable team player who can handle pressure and deliver results.
Speaking of skills, our source material also dives into specific software proficiency. They mention Microsoft Office Suite, Excel, Trello. It's like a digital toolkit for the modern office administrator.
Absolutely. Today's office administrators are expected to be tech savvy.
Yeah.
They might be creating spreadsheets to track budgets, managing complex calendars across multiple time zones, or using project management software to keep everyone on track.
Right.
Comfort with those digital tools is essential.
And it's not just about knowing how to open a spreadsheet. They're looking for a deeper level of proficiency, right?
Hmm.
For example, how might advanced Excel skills come in handy for an office administrator?
Great question. Think about data analysis.
Okay.
An office administrator might need to pull data from various sources, clean it up, and then present it in a clear and concise way to support decision-making.
Right.
Or they might need to create complex formulas to automate tasks or generate reports. Having those advanced Excel skills can be a real asset.
So having those technical skills in your back pocket can really elevate you from just, competent to truly exceptional.
Yeah.
Another skill that our source mentions repeatedly is calendar management. Why is that such a big deal for this role?
Think of it this way.
Okay.
The office administrator is often the guardian of everyone's time. They're juggling multiple calendars, anticipating potential conflicts, and making sure meetings run smoothly.
Strong calendar management skills are crucial for keeping the whole office running like a well-oiled machine.
It's like being an air traffic controller for meetings and appointments.
Yeah.
You need to have that bird's eye view and be able to anticipate problems before they arise.
Right, exactly.
Now, beyond the technical side of things, our source also emphasizes the importance of communication.
Yeah.
Why is that such a key focus for an office administrator?
Communication is the lifeblood of any office. The office administrator is often the liaison between departments, senior managers, clients, and external vendors. They need to be able to communicate clearly, concisely, and professionally, both in writing and verbally.
It's about being that clear and consistent voice, making sure everyone is on the same page. It's interesting how we're seeing a real emphasis on both hard skills and soft skills. It's not enough to just be good at spreadsheets. You also need to be a master of communication, organization, and problem solving. It's like a perfect blend of left brain and right brain thinking.
Exactly. The ideal candidate brings a mix of technical expertise and interpersonal savvy.
They're not only efficient, but also able to build relationships and contribute to a positive work environment.
And speaking of navigating that work environment, our source even includes a question about dealing with challenging colleagues. Why would that be relevant to the hiring process?
Let's face it, every office has its share of difficult personalities. The office administrator is often in the middle of things, mediating between people and smoothing over potential conflicts. This question allows the hiring manager to assess your conflict resolution skills and your ability to remain professional and composed under pressure.
So it's not just about keeping the printers running and the coffee stocked. It's about navigating the complex human dynamics of the workplace.
Exactly, yeah.
What would be a red flag for a hiring manager when a candidate answers this question about dealing with a difficult colleague?
If a candidate immediately throws a colleague under the bus or blames others without taking any responsibility, that's a big red flag. It suggests a lack of self-awareness and an inability to handle conflict constructively. Hybrid managers are looking for candidates who can demonstrate empathy, communication skills, and a solutions-oriented approach.
It's about showing that you can rise above the drama and focus on finding a resolution that works for everyone.
Right.
It sounds like this role requires a unique blend of efficiency, diplomacy, and resilience. We've covered a lot of ground already, but I know there are more insightful questions in our stack of resources. Before we move on to those, I want to make sure our listener is clear on one key concept that's come up: managing up. Can you explain what that means and why it's relevant for an office administrator?
Managing up is the art of proactively managing your relationship with your boss or supervisor.
Okay.
It's about understanding their working style, anticipating their needs, and communicating effectively to ensure a smooth and productive working relationship.
So we've been talking about managing up. It sounds like a crucial skill for an office administrator, especially since they often work closely with multiple managers. Exactly. It's about being proactive and creating a positive dynamic with your supervisors. And it's not about manipulation or trying to control them. It's about understanding their needs and communication styles so you can work together effectively.
Our source material has some more interview questions that really dig into this idea of managing up. and those kind of broader interpersonal skills.
Mm-hmm.
For example, one question asks, recall a time you had to communicate with a client or senior manager on behalf of your boss. What's the hiring manager trying to assess with that question?
They're looking for several things: your communication skills, your professionalism, and your judgment.
Okay.
Can you convey information clearly and accurately, especially when representing someone else?
Right.
Do you understand the appropriate level of formality for different audiences? Can you handle sensitive information with discretion? A strong answer demonstrates poise, diplomacy, and the ability to think on your feet.
It's like being an ambassador for your team or even the entire company. You need to be able to represent them well and make sure the right message is getting across.
Right.
Another question that caught my eye was, in what ways have you contributed to improving efficiency at work? It seems like they're looking for someone who's not just task-oriented, but also has an eye for kind of process improvement.
You hit the nail on the head. A great office administrator isn't just checking things off a list. They're actively looking for ways to make things run more smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
This could involve streamlining processes, suggesting new tools or technologies, or simply finding creative solutions to everyday challenges.
So it's about being proactive and thinking beyond the immediate task at hand.
Right.
What kind of answer would really impress a hiring manager when it comes to demonstrating that initiative and efficiency?
A compelling answer would highlight specific examples of improvements you've made.
Yeah.
Maybe you identified a bottleneck in a process and implemented a new system to streamline it.
Right.
Or perhaps you noticed that a particular task was taking up a lot of time and found a way to automate it.
Go ahead.
Quantifying your results is also a great way to make your answer stand out. Did you save the company time or money? Did you improve customer satisfaction?
Right.
Those details make a real impact.
It's about showcasing your problem-solving skills and your ability to make a real difference in the workplace.
Okay.
Okay, here's a question that I think a lot of people could relate to even outside of an office setting.
Okay.
Who would you consider your most challenging customer? It specifies that it can be internal or external.
That's a brilliant question because it gets at the heart of interpersonal skills and conflict resolution.
Yeah.
We all have to deal with difficult people from time to time, whether it's a demanding client, a micromanaging boss, or a colleague with a particularly challenging personality.
So it's not about naming names and throwing someone under the bus, right?
Absolutely not. It's about showcasing your ability to navigate those tricky situations with grace and professionalism. A strong answer would focus on how you are able to understand the other person's perspective, adapt your communication style, set clear boundaries, and ultimately achieve a positive outcome.
It's about demonstrating that you can handle conflict constructively and maintain those positive relationships, even when faced with adversity.
Right.
Along similar lines, another question in our source material asks, recall a time you had to resolve a problem with a difficult colleague. How did you handle it?
This question builds on the previous one, but dives a bit deeper into the specific steps you took to resolve the conflict.
Okay.
The hiring manager wants to see evidence of empathy, communication skills, and your ability to find common ground.
What would be a red flag for a hiring manager when a candidate answers this question about dealing with a difficult colleague?
A major red flag would be blaming the other person entirely or refusing to acknowledge any role you might have played in the conflict. Hiring managers want to see that you can approach these situations with a level head, a willingness to understand different perspectives, and a commitment to finding solutions that work for everyone involved.
It's about being a peacemaker, not a pot stirrer. And it goes back to that emotional intelligence we were talking about earlier. You need to be able to read the room, understand people's motivations, and adjust your approach accordingly.
Precisely. And this next question really gets at that ability to manage those complex office dynamics. It asks, how do you handle stress and pressure in the workplace?
That's a good one because, let's face it, every job has its share of stress. But an office administrator, seems like it could be particularly demanding.
Yeah.
You're juggling so many different responsibilities and dealing with so many different personalities.
You're absolutely right. The hiring manager wants to understand your coping mechanisms.
Okay.
Do you have healthy ways to manage stress?
Right.
Can you stay calm and focused under pressure? Are you able to prioritize tasks and delegate effectively when you're feeling overwhelmed?
So what would a strong answer to this question sound like?
A strong answer would go beyond simply saying, I work well under pressure.
Right.
It would offer specific strategies you use to manage stress, such as taking short breaks throughout the day, practice in mindfulness techniques, or using tools like to-do lists and calendar reminders to stay organized.
It's about demonstrating that you have a plan, that you're self-aware enough to recognize your own stress triggers, and that you're proactive about taking care of your well-being. After all, you can't pour from an empty cup, right?
Exactly. And taking care of yourself ultimately allows you to show up as your best self for your team and your company. Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, there's one more question I want to highlight. This one really gets at the heart of what it means to be a truly exceptional office administrator.
Okay.
It asks, how important is it to manage up?
We talked about managing up earlier, but for the benefit of our listeners who might have missed that part, can you remind us what that means and why it's so important in this context?
Managing up is the art of proactively managing your relationship with your boss or supervisor.
Yep.
It involves understanding their working style, anticipating their needs, and communicating effectively to ensure a smooth and productive working relationship. In the context of an office administrator role, it's especially important because you're often working closely with multiple managers, each with their own unique preferences and communication styles.
So it's about being adaptable, being a good communicator, and being proactive about building those strong working relationships.
Right.
What would a hiring manager be looking for in a candidate's response to this question about managing up?
A strong answer would go beyond simply saying, yes, it's important.
Okay.
It would demonstrate a deep understanding of the concept and provide specific examples of how you've successfully managed up in the past.
Right.
Maybe you took the initiative to learn your boss's preferred communication style and adjusted your approach accordingly. Or perhaps you anticipated their needs and proactively provided them with information or resources before they even asked.
It's about being one step ahead, being that indispensable right-hand person who makes their boss's life easier and helps them achieve their goals.
Exactly. And that kind of proactive, supportive approach is what truly sets exceptional office administrators apart from the rest. Now, I know we have one more part to our deep dive, and I'm really looking forward to unpacking some of those final questions and exploring what those answers reveal about the qualities that make an office administrator truly exceptional.
We're back for the final part of our deep dive into the world of office administrator interviews. We've uncovered some really insightful questions that reveal not just the tasks of the job, but also the personality traits and soft skills that lead to success in this role.
Yeah, and that's what I find so fascinating about analyzing interview questions.
Yeah.
It's like a puzzle. Each question offers a clue about the kind of person the hiring manager is hoping to find.
So let's talk about those clues. One question from our source material that really stood out to me was, what are your salary expectations? This one seems pretty straightforward, but I'm curious to hear your perspective on how a candidate should approach it.
You're right. It does seem straightforward, but there's actually a lot of nuance to this question.
Okay.
It's not just about stating a number. It's about demonstrating that you've done your research, that you understand the market value for this role, and that your expectations are aligned with your skills and experience.
So it's not just about what you want to make, it's about what you're worth based on your qualifications and the going rate for similar positions.
Exactly. A savvy candidate will come prepared with a salary range that reflects their research and their understanding of the company's compensation structure.
They're like showing the hiring manager that you're not just thinking about the paycheck, you're thinking about the bigger picture and the value you bring to the table.
Right.
Okay, here's another question that caught my attention. Why are you interested in this particular role? Again, it seems pretty basic, but I'm guessing there's more to it than meets the eye.
Absolutely. This question is your opportunity to show the hiring manager that you've done your homework on the company and the position and that you're genuinely excited about the opportunity. A generic answer that could apply to any office administrator role won't cut it. You need to tailor your response to the specific company and highlight what resonates with you about their mission, values, or culture.
It's like that old saying, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
Yeah.
You need to convey your passion and ensure that you're not just looking for any job, you're looking for the right fit.
I love that analogy. And speaking of fit, another question that often comes up in office administrator interviews is, what are your strengths and weaknesses?
Right.
This is a classic interview question, but it can still be tricky to navigate.
What advice would you give to someone who's dreading this question?
When it comes to strengths, focus on highlighting those skills and qualities that are directly relevant to the office administrator role.
Okay.
Think about the things we've been discussing. Organization, communication, problem solving, tech proficiency,
Hmm.
and be sure to back up your claims with specific examples from your past experience.
Right.
The weakness part is always a bit tougher,
Yeah.
but the key is to be honest without shooting yourself in the foot.
Right.
Choose a weakness that you're actively working on improving and frame it in a positive light.
So instead of saying, I'm terrible at public speaking,
Yeah.
maybe you could say something like, I've been working on improving my presentation skills by taking a public speaking course and actively seeking opportunities to present to small groups. It's about showing self-awareness and a commitment to growth.
Exactly. It's about turning that potential negative into a positive by demonstrating your willingness to learn and evolve. Now, before we wrap up our deep dive, I want to circle back to that thought-provoking question we posed earlier. Beyond the technical skills and experience, what personality traits or soft skills would be absolutely essential for an office administrator to thrive in a fast-paced, demanding work environment?
That's the question that's been swirling in my mind throughout this whole conversation.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Based on the interview questions we've analyzed, I think resilience is at the top of the list. Office administrators face a constant stream of demands, interruptions, and unexpected challenges. They need to be able to bounce back from setbacks, stay calm under pressure, and maintain a positive attitude even when things get hectic.
It's about having that inner strength and that ability to roll with the punches. What else?
Another crucial trait is initiative. The best office administrators are proactive problem solvers who don't wait to be told what to do. They see a need and they take action. They're constantly looking for ways to improve processes, streamline workflows, and make things run more smoothly.
It's about being a self-starter, someone who takes ownership and doesn't shy away from a challenge.
Absolutely. And along with initiative, I think a strong sense of ownership is crucial. Office administrators are often the ones who keep the wheels turning, who make sure everything is running smoothly behind the scenes. They need to take pride in their work, be reliable, and follow through on their commitments.
It's about being that dependable person everyone can count on, the one who gets things done without needing constant supervision.
Right. And finally, I'd say a positive attitude is absolutely essential. Office administrators interact with a wide range of people, from colleagues to clients to senior managers.
Hmm.
They need to be approachable, friendly, and able to maintain a positive demeanor, even in challenging situations.
It's about being that ray of sunshine in the office, the person who lifts everyone's spirits and contributes to a positive work environment. So to sum it up, we're looking for someone who's resilient, proactive, takes ownership, and has a positive attitude. That's a pretty powerful combination.
It really is. And those qualities, combined with the technical skills and experience we've discussed, would make for a truly exceptional office administrator.
Wow, we've covered so much ground in this deep dive. We've
Yeah.
gone from understanding the basic duties of an office administrator to uncovering the hidden skills and personality traits that make someone truly excel in this role.
It's been a fascinating journey. We've gained insights not only into the role itself, but also into the hiring process and the dynamics of the modern workplace.
And I think we've also highlighted something really important, the human element. Behind those spreadsheets and calendars are real people with unique skills, personalities, and aspirations.
Absolutely. And finding the right person who embodies both the technical competence and the human touch can make all the difference in creating a thriving and productive work environment.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with this thought. If you're considering a career as an office administrator, or if you're involved in hiring for this role, remember that it's about so much more than just administrative tasks. It's about finding someone who can be the heart and soul of the office, the one who keeps everything running smoothly and makes everyone feel valued and supported.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.